Poverty is a staggering and complex issue. There's a lot more questions than there are answers. And that's why we're doing this series, PoorTown, because Rockford does have a huge poverty issue. Poverty doubled here between 2000 and 2010 from about 30,000 to 60,000. That's like taking Belvedere and Cherry Valley, all the people there, and doubling that. It's huge. It's a huge amount. Poverty needs to be a part of the discussion. It's something that pervades our community and affects everything we do, from public safety to taxes to what we can afford to do to rebuild our community. One of the statistics that jumped out at me when I was doing research for a possible project here was the number of single moms in poverty. 50% of all single moms in Rockford are living below the poverty level. And those with children who are under age 5, the number was 62%. You really can't tell the story through the statistics. You really have to find people who are living in poverty, moms that are raising their children on their own. And that brought me to MELD to help me find some single moms who are living in poverty but trying to do something about it.
My name is Dicey Cooper Lindsay. I'm 18, I have 3 kids, and I'm going back to school for my GED.
MELD has programs for homeless women, families. The more dire the circumstances, the more likely they are to get services and housing. There's a huge need. There were 500 requests last year, more than 500, and they served less than half of the moms and kids that came with services. Dicey came to MELD because they were homeless, and that's how they got into the program. Through the MELD program, which is a Rockford-based program, tries to take people, single moms in poverty, and families, and teach them self-sufficiency skills. She's dreaming of becoming a pediatric nurse.
Because I like being around babies, all types of babies, crazy babies, cute babies, giggly babies. I just like being around children.
It's going to be a huge step for her. The more kids you have, the harder it is, because the overhead's much greater. Daycare, education, health care. It can get very, 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 very difficult. I guess what surprised me most about Dicey is here's a young woman who grew up tough, and she's got this very gentle, nurturing soul that came out in interviews with her children. She's very protective of her children, very responsive to her children. I'm not sure I expected that, but she does love her family. It's quite clear, and she's in this fight for them. Part of the program is making sure that the kids get education, and Head Start came to Dicey's apartment one day when we were there, and it was a very nice young teacher who came in and immediately felt comfortable with the kids. You could tell that they'd worked together a long way and just worked on developmental things, which was really cool to watch.
But KJ, and Safari, we've got just some sensory play, some rice play, but scooping and dumping, working those wrist muscles and stuff. What's in there? KJ, look, just scoop. Dump. Good job, Fari. Working on vocabulary, scoop and dumping, and also that wrist muscle to get ready for handwriting. We're going to do some object permanence with Zachary. So the idea that the object still exists even though I can't see it. There she is.
Boo.
There she is.
Boo. Boo. Oh, you thought got going
Did
up
you see
there.
that he was like waiting for you to come off the top though
Boo.
versus the side?
Boo. Boo.
You know, that's one of the things that MELD stresses is education, not only for the mom, but for the children. To break the cycle of poverty, you have to have education. One day we were across the street from the MELD house in a park, and it was a celebration. It was KJ's birthday. KJ turned 2, and Dicey had a cake and a banner, and she invited her sister and other people that she knew, and while they were setting up, a woman came by, and she didn't know, who had a child as well, and she said, "Come join us."
You can come over here too. The little boy can come over here too.
Just very open, very. It was a cool thing. It was a cool thing to see. We met Jordan in her apartment. She was in the MEL program as well.
Got pregnant when I was 16 and had my daughter 3 weeks after I turned 17. I was in the hospital for a month and a half because I got put on bed rest for pregnancy complications.
It forced her to drop out of school. She flunked classes. And to her credit, she went back. And a year later, she graduated.
When she was about 2 and I was about 19, I had complications at home and ended up going into a homeless shelter, and was only there for a little bit and then moved into the apartment I'm in now.
She's loved hair since the 8th grade, knew that was going to be her career. So she went to a local beauty school, borrowed money to go there, eventually got her degree. When we first met Jordan, she was struggling financially. She was struggling with the program. She wasn't sure how much more she was going to be able to get out of it. She had been cutting hair. She had a part-time job.
The rent here is based on income, but even then it's still too much and I can't afford it.
Part of the self-sufficiency program is to, as your income goes up, so does your rent. And Jordan saw her rent going up, and she was wondering how she was going to make ends meet. And one day she said that, maybe it was in June, she was looking at her bills that were coming up and thought maybe she'd have to go donate plasma to help supplement her income. With money tight, she saw a way to save some and move in with some friends in a mobile home. It was going to save her $100 a month. Is that a lot of money?
Yeah, that's just my car insurance. It's $100, so I mean, even that little bit would help.
And at the end of August, she moved out on a Thursday, moved into this mobile home. On Friday, she went into work, and her boss told her they didn't have any hours for her anymore. She was essentially fired.
It sucks. It was kind of like, because I moved on a Thursday and got fired on Friday. And like, I was trying to, the whole point of moving was that my rent would be cheaper so I can afford everything more. I wouldn't be paying like all my utilities by myself. So it was kind of like I did everything to get ahead and then got fired, and everything, my child support got messed up at the same time, and so I wasn't getting child support, and it was rough. Within like 2 weeks, all of that happened, and then my car started having problems. It has a short where I have to unplug it, and then my nephew died too within those 2 weeks. Yeah. Everything kept happening after once, one after another. I mean, you can say things can't get worse, but things did.
And it might sound like a script from a reality TV series, but this is real life. And this is no teen mom or 16 and pregnant. This is a real struggle for a young woman who's trying to be self-sufficient. She still hasn't found a job. She's had some interviews and is hopeful to find something in retail. She can make enough money to pay down some bills and pay for a full-time cosmetology license and go back into the hair business. The stories of Dicey and Jordan are just two of thousands in Rockford and Winnebago County involving single moms living in poverty. I think the takeaway from this is that you do have people that are trying to pull themselves out of generations of poverty and improve the lot for them, for their children, and ultimately for our community.